Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Fifth Row Tarot. I am here to give you your reading for the week of March 1st, 2020. Happy March, first of all. I hope you are having or have good intentions for the month coming. Just an introduction for anyone that's new to tarot and new to the channel. I look at tarot as a means of storytelling that might also relate to how we are moving about in our everyday life. So, for me, tarot might relate to things that are going on now. In some cases, may talk to things that might come of the future, but really, it's talking to the part within us that knows what we know, but sometimes we don't really want to either approach or we just need a reminder that we already know what we know and what to do. So that is how I approach my readings. Now, the other part of this is that Spirit may have another direction for me to go into. So there are times when I may mention things of a divine nature, things that, excuse me, that even I may not be able to comprehend why the cards are telling me what they're telling me. But, I'm basically just telling the story. So let's get started. I call on my divine masters and teachers and my ascended and enlightened ancestors and all my higher past and future selves to come into this reading and help me give some guidance to those who are watching. Thank you so much, Spirit. So, another word is that, this may not resonate with everyone. There are other tarot readers on YouTube and in real life who may have a different message for you. So, if it doesn't resonate, by all means, feel free to check out other channels, other tarot readers. Yeah, so let's get started. Spirit. Oh, wow. So I've got two cards out, both wands. All right. Spirit gave me two cards, and I was going to ask for three. Spirit, can I get one more card for the collective? Can I get one more card for this collective reading, Spirit? Spirit, can I get... Here we go. Wow. All right. All wands. Ooh. Wow. March is coming in like a lion. Okay. We got wands. Ooh. Another card fell out. All right. I'll take it. Okay. All right. So I will flip the deck over to look at the bottom of the deck once I get through these. So really quickly, let me show you what we have here. We have the Seven of Wands. We have the Nine of Wands. We have the Ten of Wands. And we have the Hanged Man. So I'm just going to take a second and look. Really, I want to take a look at this Hanged Man. Okay. Okay. All right, well, let's talk about the very obvious thing that is actually running through all four of these cards is the presence of wands. I am going to try to take my little motivational signs here and stand the cards up so you can see them a little better. Let's see this back. So as I'm putting this together, yes, the theme between these cards is that they're all wands. I believe it is a good. Let's angle it a little bit so you can see it better. Okay, so we have the Seven of Wands, the Nine of Wands, and the Ten of Wands. If you have been with me so far, this far on this channel, you know that wands are about wands are about the action that comes from our spirits, the action that is very passionate, a lot of action, a lot of movement. Everything is like taking place, and it's driven by our what we believe, what we feel. It comes from our spirit. The other thing, um, yeah, and and when I say fire, this is about passion because wands represent a fire energy, um, because they're made of wood, right? So they're definitely going to be um, something that creates uh, a new kind of life. I will say wands are definitely like a phallic energy. So this week might be a very much around um, sex, relationships, things like that. I'm not going to go too much into it, but there's a lot of passion and energy coming through for this week. And I say this week, but whenever you see this reading, if it's helpful, please use it. So let's look at the Seven of Wands first. We have a man who is at the top of what looks like a rock, and down below he's got all these wands, all these other wands that are like kind of, he's trying to defend himself. But the good thing is, he is at an advantage. So you might be in a position right now where you are maybe fighting off um, fighting off people who are like trying to advance at you, or you might be fighting off people who are trying to get in your way. You might be fighting, or at least defending yourself. Not even fighting. You're constantly defending things that are, the things that are around you, even though you can just kind of. And I think the biggest thing here is that, you've got all this space behind you, yet you're standing on the ledge above these people fighting with them. You have a wand. You can just go off, right? Because there's nothing behind you that could be blocking you. So, on to the Nine of Wands. The Nine of Wands is about looking at what we not only have we still have our wand, and this might be the same person who was in this, this battle, but now someone is looking back on the battle, all the battles that they have gone through, and it's one of those things of you see the bandage on his head. He is actually coming out of a battle, and it might have been that this person has stayed too long in this place here in the Seven of Wands, and so what's happening is, we've skipped the Eight of Wands, which is the Eight of Wands is all about the blessings that are coming in quickly, but the Nine of Wands is about, you know what? Look at everything that I have come out of, like all these actions. I've finally taken one that's has freed me from my past. This is actually, and because of the bandage on his head, it looks like this person is coming out of war. This person is coming out of battle, and kind of like, is this the fight? In what I'm seeing is this the fight that I want to be in? And that's the same question that I posed when I was talking about the Seven of Wands is, why stay? Why stay fighting there? And so it looks like you in this card are starting to ask the same question. Why do I fight? Why do I stay? So, um, in the deeper meaning of that question, why do I fight? Why do I stay? There are probably reasons why you fight and stay, right? But when you think of the toll that it might be taking, and this guy's head is bandaged, when you think of the toll it might be taking on your health, your mental health, because his head is bandaged, when you think of all the hits that you've taken, you might be wondering, all the actions that have been taken or that I've taken, because these could be all the things that you've done. You could be looking at your past and thinking, why do I stay in this situation? Why do I continue to fight here? But this card is clearly the end of a battle, because we go from the Nine of Wands to the Ten of Wands. And this is, you know what? I'm taking all my actions. I'm going to put this a little forward so you can see it a little better. I am taking all my actions. I am taking all my effort because, you know, all these wands have um, sprouts and new leaves coming out of them, right? All in all the cards, these are possibilities that may come from these actions. But someone here is looking at everything they've done and they're deciding it is time for me to take all my good effort, all my actions. It is worth it is worth it of me to go from being in a fruitless place to planting myself elsewhere, to taking my actions elsewhere. So you might either be physically moving, you might be you might be focusing, changing your focus as far as maybe a relationship or a job, and you are saying, I am taking my actions and I'm going to replant them somewhere where they can actually bloom and grow into a full forest. Because what you want in anything that you do in life is for these wands to work with you, not against you. And so it looks like someone has built up and invested a lot of energy into planting new action, new branches of growth, new ways of beginning again and again and again. Um, and finally saying, why fight anymore? Why stay here anymore? Why try to plant something and look for some lush greenness to come out of a situation or out of a situation that is fruitless? So what ends up happening is you are either removing yourself or you're moving your focus into a new place. Maybe you're trying something new. Maybe you're going off to a new life. Maybe you're going to a new job. Maybe you're picking up a new, maybe whatever you're doing, maybe you're taking your profession to a new location. It could be any number of things, but what this reading is clearly saying is that you are moving forward and out of chaos and out of misdirected and unappreciated, it looks like, action and unsupported action. You are taking your actions elsewhere to where they will be watered and where they will bloom. And when we come down to it, the hangman was the fourth card that fell out as I was trying to finish up the shuffle. And so we look at the hanged man. And I don't think I've ever had this card pop up in my readings just yet, But if we look at the hangman, we see we've got branches here, we've got branches here. This says that we're at a crossroads because this is essentially a cross, and the man is hanging upside down. And if you look at the legs, they're kind of in the shape of a four. And four is all about the number four in numerology. And even in tarot, the four is about structure. Um, and so we've got all these wands that we've built up into this cross that this hanged man is hanging by a foot, right? But he's upside down, and it looks like here it's a change in perspective because he's not seeing things the way that we see things, right? Or he's not seeing things in the same way someone who is standing on 2 feet is looking at them. So it looks like this reading is just kind of focusing in on you are moving to this new space, and it is changing your perspective on how you live your life, where you live your life. You are your life is being turned upside down in a way that works for you. You're changing your perspective. You're understanding, and when I say changing your perspective, change is the key word here. Because a lot of people to a lot of people change is scary. Change is hard to accept. A new perspective, for almost anyone, is sometimes hard to accept. But when we understand that this new perspective is there to help us grow and be planted elsewhere, we are easily changed. Once we make that teeny tiny bloop, just kind of like just turn it a little bit, and we and flip it over on its head and say, what if what if the thing that I was so scared to do, I was so scared to leave my position here and being in defensive mode here. What if during this pause I consider changing my position and moving away? And the thing is that it's hard. This is a hard. It's easy for me to say this reading, right? It is hard to do. It is very hard to do. But the thing is that we have to understand that sometimes uprooting ourselves is the best thing that we can do for ourselves. Because if we don't, we'll end up being in this damaged post-war mode all the time, constantly looking at others' actions, constantly looking at our actions, constantly, essentially, this person keeps looking back here. This reading is saying we need to move. We need to get away. We need to accept that things are changing. We need to change our perspective on our actions, right? So I'm going to take a look at the bottom of the deck, and what we have is the Five of Swords. And the Five of Swords, I'll put that a little closer. The Five of Swords, this is a card to me about the end of a collaboration. This is about um, picking and choosing our battles, but swords are about thoughts. So again, even though all of these wands are about action and passion, the swords are about what thoughts are driving these actions. And so it finally comes to the point where we realize we've got to end a situation. We've got to end a way of thinking about something. We have to change our perspective in order, and this may mean that we cut off a collaboration because we can no longer take the beatings that we're getting, right? We can no longer take the mental hits that we're getting because the swords are all about that. The swords are all about thoughts. The swords are all about our ideas. And it's here that we see that it's time to move on into something better, into something more fruitful. And I am sorry. I mean, I'm not sorry about the message, but I'm sorry that this reading is a little bit on the hard to listen to side, because quite honestly, that, and I say going through this process here is definitely a hard thing for a lot of people. It's hard for me sometimes when I realize, you know what, and I'll take a job situation. Hey, you know what? I'm tired of this fight. This fight has it's hurt my mental health. I need healing. I can't fight this anymore and I need to move on. And that's exactly what I did with the job, only because I accepted that my health right here was more important than fighting and defending either on someone else's behalf or on my behalf. I was done with the fighting. And so I decided to move on and plan elsewhere. And that's what I did. And, you know, on the other side of this movement is got to be, yes, there is the end of a collaboration, but it's to find yourself replanted elsewhere. Because the Five of Wands, well, the Five of Wands is about the end of a collaboration. The Six of Wands, I'm not Six of Wands, the Five of Swords is about the end of a collaboration. Or even like this could be something about deceit. Maybe you were deceived in some way by someone, um, and decided, I can't be deceived like this anymore. I can't be one-upped anymore. So, yeah, it's this is definitely a reading about. Oh, and what I was going to say, so the Five of Swords is about the end of collaboration or deceit or something. You're cutting something off or cutting away from a certain group. Um, the Six of Swords, if that card, I'm kind of surprised that it has not come up. But with the Six of Swords, what we would see is a man with his family in a boat moving away from choppy waters to calm waters. And that is the movement away from a situation, away from a thought or idea. Um, yeah. Wow. Um, so let's see. Um, I would like to find out, I'm going to expand a little bit and go a little bit more about, I want to know, what are we moving toward, Spirit? What is it that we should be moving toward? What should we be moving to? Oh, wow, that popped out. And oh, wow, interesting. So the cards are confirming that we must move. And the Chariot is all about movement. It's about getting in your chariot. Yeah, getting in your chariot and rolling forward. And to me, I don't know why, like I see a little bit of kind of a pacifier, but a little bit it looks like the kind of the red cross there. And I think it's you moving toward healing, you moving toward destiny. And sometimes this card can stand for, well, you've got the two sphinxes there. Um, I have heard that this card can stand for interracial relationships, but it definitely, either way, is about moving forward. Wow, that's interesting. Okay. Um, Spirit, what else are we moving toward? Can you tell me maybe like what we're moving toward, Spirit? What is it that we move toward? Can you give us any indication, Spirit, what we might move toward? Spirit, can you give us any indication of what we might be moving forward to? Okay. It doesn't look like there's any advice on where we're going toward that. So that, to me, talks a lot about free will. We have a choice. We have free will. This this reading is only confirming that we are moving and that we should move. I mean, if any, there's so much movement here. I don't even know. There's so much change of mind and change of thought and movement here. I'm not quite sure what else to say. Let's see. Because I know that there is some indication of mental, mental, what's the word? Mental aggravation or something. Yeah, I'll say aggravation. That's the best word I can pull right now. I'm going to use the DBT deck and maybe find maybe some mindful practices to help us manage so that we can move forward in a healthy and advised way. So, and I treat these cards just like I treat my tarot cards, and I shuffle them, and then I just ask Spirit, Spirit, can you give us some advice for the readings that comes out of these DBT cards? Oop, there we go. All right. Okay. So what might be healing for us is touch. I don't know if you can read that. I'll read it out loud. Touch. Most people have needs related to touch. Ask someone for a hug, to hold hands, or to snuggle on the couch. Learn to give yourself a facial, neck, or hand massage. Put on your most comfortable clothes or get under a soft and warm blanket. Pour yourself a bubble bath or take an extended shower, being mindful of your body's connection with the water. And it's funny, this card mentions being mindful of your body's connection to the water because we have a lot of fire here. We have a lot of energy that we've expended trying to move forward and trying to move, get ourselves through, all this fire. And sometimes what's needed, is a cooling off. When we put ourselves in water, we are alleviating some of the effects here, and we're able to really get some balance so we can determine what our next move is. That's pretty awesome. Touch. All right. Let's see what else might I be able to give you all today. We are at only 28 minutes, so maybe I have time for let's see, some sort of card that talks about movement. I'm gonna grab my yes, okay, I'm gonna grab my Kim Kranz archetype card. Okay. All right. So, got Kim Kranz archetype cards. I'm gonna shuffle really quickly and see if we can get some other things we might be able to do. This is a very interesting reading, so trying to get some very concrete things that you might be able to do to help you make this decision and move to move, right? And movement might actually be the best thing that you can do in this final card. A lot of times, touch involves movement. So maybe do some yoga, go bike riding with a friend, get yourself moving in order to get to, one, you've got the touch and you've done your bubble bath, but movement might also be your best bet. Okay, so Spirit, can you please give us some advice with the archetype cards on our movement forward? We know we are making a move. We know oh no, that's too many cards, Spirit. All right, these are hard to kind of shuffle and choose from here, but I'm gonna keep going anyway. Ooh, okay. No, those are too many cards. Okay. Just one card, Spirit. One card. One card. Ah. Ah. One card, Spirit, please. Just one card. If this doesn't give me a card, I'm not gonna force it. Not too many cards. All right. Well, it looks like that's it. Yep. All right. Well, that is your reading for the day. You know what? Divine Doors. No. Divine Doors. Yeah. Okay. So Kim Cran's Divine. So I'm gonna do Divine Doors since the Kim Cran Spirit didn't give me a message through the archetype cards. So I think what's more important, since we're talking about movement, maybe we're also talking about doors. Sometimes we do have to go through doors. Spirit. Here we go. All right. A moment's joy. I don't know if you can see that. It's hard to focus. Okay. Sand through the hourglass, yet time could stand still. A moment lasts forever in the bliss of the heart's will. Okay. Cool beans. Cool beans. All right. That's something. I hope it helps. But yeah, that's your reading for the week of March 1st. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will see you next week. If you are interested in a reading, I will put my website in the description box below on how we can schedule. But other than that, thank you for your time.